Hey, everybody. I just wanted to take a brief minute to talk to you a little bit about stress. Um, Back in the day when I was working full time as an acupuncturist, I would ask a new patient that came in for whatever it was, pain, digestive disorders, symptoms of menopause. Those were some of the common things. Um, what percentage would they attribute their symptom picture or their diagnosis to stress, like mental, psychological stress? Not talking about like an injury or chemical, because there's that kind of stress. No one ever said zero. And quite often people would say 90, 100%. Um, well, maybe not. Yeah, actually, surprisingly, people said that. I know for a fact, and you know this too, psychological stress, mental stress is always reflected in the body. Always, always, always. Um, proven, proven with science, and you can prove it in your own, in your own lived experience. So if we know how, and by the way, stress is normal. Um, what do I want to say? The body has a capability to respond in a normal fashion to stress. It's prolonged stress that's the problem. So if I was out walking the dog and somebody came barreling around the corner in their car and I had to like jump up on the curb with me and the dog, stress. Um, and the hormones are going to circulate through my body, and my nervous system is going to be activated. But the body has the ability to restore and bring itself back to balance pretty quickly. It's the prolonged stress that's so detrimental. And so, you're all familiar with psychological stress. And really, what I wanted to just share today is something I think you know as well. It's just that we forget it. And that is, where is the stress coming from? So in the medical literature, they'll say, well, you have the stressor and then the stress response, which is what happens in the body. And will help you identify those stressors so that you can have less stress in your life by fixing the external world. As if all stress is coming from the outside in. Now, it can't. It absolutely can't be that, because the only way that we can have a felt sense of anything and a response of in the body is that we have the ability to think, um, and we have the ability to perceive with our five senses, and then the mind comes in and makes up a story in a evolutionary way to try to protect us. So that's a whole nother talk. But thought arises, and there's meaning given to, again, in an attempt to protect us, right? And the example that I love is that boom, 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 right? If I hear a knock at the door and my neighbor was burglarized not that long ago, I could make the meaning in my mind that I'm frightened and afraid because there might be somebody at the door with a gun. Now, the same noise, I could say, oh, let me peek out the window. Oh, it's the Amazon delivery guy, right? So, same external event, but I created two different meanings of that. And therefore, the experience of a stress response truly is coming from the inside out. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that we don't try to change the circumstances of our life? I mean, when you can, and I say, like, good luck with that. Sometimes there's just uh, realistic obligations that you have to take care of yourself and your family and earn a living. And there can be a lot of them. But your relationship to the amount and the type of circumstances and people, that that's within you to see that differently. So the very first thing is just to remember, which you already know, that you are ultimately responsible, you are accountable for any and every experience that you have. And yeah, we're just going to stop this one there. That you can be aware that stress isn't something coming at you from the outside. The two people can be in the same situation, and it can look those circumstances can look very stressful to one and not so much to the other. So I'm going to be talking a lot more about stress, but for now, just remember what I know you already know. Psychological stress, when it's prolonged, like EI, we're worrying about something all the time. Um, it's going to take a toll on the body. Your body can deal with a certain amount of it, but not the prolonged kind. And just remember that your experience of stress isn't is not being caused from the outside in. It is always. And again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to delegate some things on your to-do list or have a conversation with your spouse because there's a sticky something going on. Not saying that at all. I just want you to remember what you already know. And that's good news, okay? That we have accountability for the response that we have to what's happening in our lives and our world. Like that gives us, you know, some sense of agency. So just let that marinate. And if you have any comments, you can reply, here. You can comment here on this YouTube video. Or if you have a question for me, for an episode of Ask Kathleen Anything, or you send that in an email to office@drkathleenperry.com. And any comments on this, you can send it that way as well.